Okay, so these two chapters should really be Gully Dwarf to the rescue, right? Because the companions are up at the top of the ruined city. They've got to figure out a way to get down to the ruins below. There's really only seemingly one way to do it is through this lift that the Draconians are using to go up and down and up and down. And what they're doing, because we don't have mechanical stuff or electricity or anything else, so they've got these giant pots and chains and pulleys. And the gully doors are running up and down the length of this cliff through these weird little pathways. And instead of the Draconians trying to make this trek through spots they can't really fit, the gully doors are running up, and they're the counterweight that pulls the Draconians back up the other side. So, in order to get down, the companions are like, well, we got to go on the elevators. So a whole fight ensues, but it's a fight inside this sort of pot that's being used as an elevator car that's swaying back and forth, and they get kind of separated. And then all of a sudden, the gully dwarves in a lull in the fighting, like, hey, we can show you a better way, right? So then we have to go sort of down through this weird little pathway to get there. Remember, where you got a bunch of gully dwarves are not the brightest things in the world, and a fun-loving Kender. Weird things might happen when you try to travel. So it's kind of a funny little trip in ways. That sort of makes light of the fact that we really are going through this dungeon and about to go face a dragon and a bunch of dragon minions in the form of the Draconians. And who knows, you could die. But then they go try to partner with the leader of the Gully Dwarves, which is the great Highbolt Fudge the First. Right? He's this really interesting little guy that's possibly the smartest of the Gully Dwarves, but still doesn't say much. And really, we kind of dig a little bit more into these chapters into what really is the one person on the face of Kryn that our mage really kind of respects and has true feelings for, and that's Bupu right behind me. So it's an interesting couple of chapters, and we find that the companions, after making a little deal with the leader of the Gully Dwarves, he's going to show them how to get to the dragon's lair with his brilliant memory and map making skills. So it's a fun couple of chapters, and I really do enjoy this book. I've read it a number of times, but every time I go back and read it, it's every couple of years or whenever I get bored. And it really does kind of, I always forget a lot of what happens in it because like anybody else, life gets in the way. But it's a fun ride. It really is. If you haven't read it, you've got to pick it up. Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, some of the best writing teams in the fantasy world ever, I think. And as a writer myself, I really want to take sort of what they do, their style, and apply it to the genre that I work in, because I don't write fantasy. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the book. If you're following along, keep following along. We'll get there. But I do love this series, and this one in particular. The other books we may not do quite as many videos about because we're really kind of digging into this one deeply, but it's a fun ride. So thanks for taking the ride with us.